Is Chivalry 2 worth playing in 2024? The short answer is yes. In my opinion, it is the best online multiplayer game that takes place in a medieval setting. So yes, that includes Mordhau, Chivalry 1, For Honor. To be fair, there aren't a whole lot of them out there, but of the ones that have come out, this is definitely the best one that I ever played. The best way to describe it in simple terms is it's Battlefield with swords and shields. It's got giant maps, large-scale battles, very immersive. It feels like you're actually in a medieval setting. It's got amazing graphics, which compared to Chivalry 1, it's just night and day. Like, I thought, oh yeah, Chivalry 1, when it came out back in 2012, was like one of the best looking games that I've ever seen. And for an indie game, that was really impressive. Then coming back to Chivalry 1 after Chivalry 2 came out, it's like, oh my god, Chivalry 2 is so much better. Which is a good thing, though, because you expect a game sequel to improve upon the original game, and they certainly did with Chivalry 2. It still receives regular updates. It's still being supported by the developers. One of the big features that's planned for 2024 is unofficial community servers, which is something that people have been asking for a long time. We're finally going to get it, so that's great. But for the most part, like, even when it came out, it wasn't a game that really, like, it wasn't broken. It didn't have any, like, fundamental issues. So when it came out, it was one of the few online multiplayer games at launch day was already a great game and didn't need to be fixed over a 6-month, 1-year period like most online games are these days. It has full cross-play support across PC, Series X, Series S, Xbox One, PS5, PS4, and that's something that Mordhau does not have, so that's probably a main reason why you want to play Chivalry 2 over Mordhau. The community is also a lot less toxic than Mordhau. Mordhau is one of the most toxic online communities I have ever experienced in my entire time playing video games online, which is like almost 15 years at this point. When I eventually get to make my Mordhau video, I'm gonna explain that more in further detail, but yeah, Chivalry 2 is just amazing. At first, it was really disappointing because the game was exclusive to the Epic Game Store for like 6 months to a year. I forget how long exactly it was, but when it finally came to Steam, I'm like, hell yeah, because I really just don't fuck with the Epic Game Store at all. And I know a lot of PC gamers feel the same way about that. It's got a wide variety of game modes. The main one is Team Objective, which I think a good way of describing it is Supremacy mode in Battlefront or Operations in Battlefield, where certain parts of the map are locked off until you complete objectives, and if the team completes all the objectives successfully, whether it's taking a fort from the enemy, pillaging a village, or all these different things that make sense in a medieval setting, you complete all the objectives and your team wins. And if the enemy team successfully defends any of the objectives, then the enemy team wins. There's also your standard team deathmatch, free-for-all, and also last man standing, which is pretty much search and destroy, except obviously there's no bomb because we're talking about medievals, But basically, whoever eliminates all of the opposing team first is the winner of that. So yeah, there's plenty of game modes for different play styles, so I think no matter what kind of gamer you are, you're going to like this game. There's going to be something there for you. The combat is very simple to grasp, but difficult to master, which I think is the best type of gameplay that you can have, especially in an online game, because if it's something that has such a high skill floor, then it's really difficult to really get into it, like talking about a game like an Insurgency or something like that, where it takes a lot just to grasp the basic concepts of the game. Quake is a great example of that, but this is pretty easy to pick up. Obviously, it's going to take some time to get used to it and actually be effective in combat, but it's amazing. It's great, especially the gore effects when you chop someone's leg off or decapitate them. It's awesome. From my experience, most of the deaths that I get is a bunch of enemies teaming up against me, like 2-on-1, 3-on-1, usually 1v1. I'm able to hold my own fairly well, but yeah, that's an aspect, that's a dynamic of the game that you need to look out for. Teamwork is very important. It could be great in your favor when you stick up with a bunch of people instead of just going on your own, trying to do your own thing. Doesn't always work out for you, especially in the objective modes. Team deathmatch, you might be okay with that, but in general, working with your teammates is a very important part of the game, and sticking together and not just going off and getting yourself killed. That's the best way to experience this game and the best way to actually get a lot of kills and do good. And obviously, it differs a lot from Call of Duty and Battlefield in the sense that you can't just run and gun automatically, because just a one-on-one is always going to be usually at least 10 seconds long, because you're, trading swords and trying to kill one another and blocking and all that stuff. It's more involved than if you just have a gun and you shoot and you kill. And there's also a wide variety of classes to choose from. You have your typical sword and shield, your two-handed swords that are very heavy but they do a lot of damage. There's also archery, so you want to use a bow and arrow or even a crossbow. You got that. And there's plenty of different weapons and armor in the game to unlock, so it's going to keep you busy for a while. And I forgot to mention there's also horses, which is important in a game like this because it really adds to the immersion and is a really cool thing to have, especially traversing these giant-ass maps. Yeah, and there just isn't much bad for me to say about this game, honestly. I would consider it close to a 10 out of 10 game. The visuals, presentation, and gameplay, they don't just match, they exceed the quality of a AAA game. Again, very impressive what they were able to do for a pretty small indie studio. It's sold for $40 when it's not on sale, but when it's on sale, you can get it for $20, sometimes even cheaper. Then it's really a good value, but I think even at $40, it's easily worth it. Still get full games in 2024, no problem. EU and US. Other regions, sometimes is a lot harder to get a match depending on time of day, but for most people, especially since I'm an English-speaking channel, most people watching this video are definitely not going to have any issues, especially with crossplay being a thing. The community not being divided between 5 or 6 different platforms definitely helps keeping this game going and keeping it alive. Absolutely give it a try. I have a feeling you're not going to regret it. It's probably not a game for everybody, so I think based on the gameplay, you can determine if it's something that you're interested in or not. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think this is the first time I ever covered a game on the channel that didn't have any type of guns in the game at all, so some people may be like, what the hell is this? But trust me, it's a really amazing experience that is one of my favorite online games of all time.